Hello and welcome to our session on a holistic approach to developmental education and curricular alignment with the high schools as well as multiple measures. My name is Mary Ann Westerfield, and this is my partner in crime here is Dr. Jim Picone. He and I'm the Dean of STEM and Health at Cumberland County College, and Jim is the Dean of Arts and Humanities at Cumberland County College. We both just finished within this last year our doctorate work on our respective areas of developmental education. So if our eyes start twitching, it's probably because of that. Again, we're from Cumberland County College, and we do have a support team here that you'll see with this presentation, it's a lot to absorb. We do not get into the very details of specific things, but the overall theme of the presentation is that holistic approach that it takes the entire campus. It takes the entire crew and everyone working together to accomplish this monumental task, as we all know. Cumberland County College is in South Jersey. We have a very diverse population. The poverty rate is fairly high. Unemployment rate fairly high. The enrollment's about 4,000 students, and we are still about 80% first-generation college student, and about 50% historically underrepresented students. And again, our presentation today, and Dr. Picone is going to start with the high school alignment efforts that we've been doing, the multiple measures that have been established, the developmental English redesign, and then I'll finish up with the developmental mathematics redesign.
High school alignment, I've been involved personally with the high school alignment for 5 years. I know Mary Ann for more years than that, and around 10 years altogether. And I think the most important thing with the high schools is building relationships. And we've done this over the years, and it's not been easy because superintendents move on, principals. We're very fortunate that the instructors and curriculum supervisors have mainly stayed the same. So it's very important we have a very good relationship with the principals and superintendents. We've had many meetings, and we have all-day meetings. So I think that's the key, building a relationship with the high schools. And they're willing to work with us, we're willing to work with them, and it's been a very nice relationship. Some of our efforts so far, we have facilitated countywide development days. We have 2 full days and 2 half days. And I'll speak more about that. And basically, we're sharing best practices. An eye-opener was to allow the high school instructors to take the math and reading AccuPlacer. So you could imagine that. We all learned a lot from that experience. But it started a very good discussion. We started aligning the high school curriculum with our math and reading courses, and that's been pretty successful. But now we know the Common Core is coming, so we're working on doing that again. We've always offered the AccuPlacer to high school juniors. We've tried various remediation plans. After school, we use the A+ Advancer, computer-based, classroom-based. So we've tried many different remediation models. Also, we have, like many other schools in the state, dual credit courses, and we're involved in getting the students that have passed the AccuPlacer to speed up and to gain more college credits while they're still in high school. We also have a bridge course called the Brush Ups during the summer to help the students to catch up if they do not pass the AccuPlacer. Through multiple measures, which many colleges in the state and the decision zone, we've revamped our way of placing students. We're part of the College Readiness Now pilot this summer, which some of the other colleges in the state are as well. For the last 3 years, we're part of the work Gear Up which is gaining early awareness and readiness for middle school and high school students. Forward thinking, we're going to continue the two-day and half-day alignment meetings. And this time, we are actually started in the fall aligning curriculum with the Common Core state standards. So what happened, the 4 high schools came to our college and had 4 different presentations and explaining the Common Core, which really helped us and the faculty to understand that better. Marianne and I are hoping to, through these efforts, develop courses in English and mathematics to start beginning in spring 2015 and offer developmental courses in the high school, almost as like a dual credit, but not quite. Some of our multiple measures, we have test preparation online before they take the AccuPlacer. If they don't place college level, we have the brush-up courses. Of course, SATs, we have also used HESPA scores, Gates and Nelson-Denny reading tests. We've revamped the way we look at AccuPlacer cutoff scores. And our new pilot is to allow students to sign up for a dual credit course. If they receive an A, B, or C, depending on that course, we waive the requirement of a reading, math, or English AccuPlacer exam. On the math side, if they're enrolled in pre-calculus or higher, they do not have to take the math AccuPlacer. They have the opportunity to take the developmental algebra exit exam. So how has the multiple measures helped Cumberland County College? 2009, we had no multiple measures, and 33% of our students placed in the college level. So 77 did not %. Starting in 2012, after implementing multiple measures, we now have a 55% placement into college level, and this past year, 59%. So it's a holistic approach. Look at the student. One test shouldn't determine if a student's placed into college or not. So of course, remediation, the need for remediation has gone down in the last 4 years from 77% to 66%. And then the golden question is, well, how do they do in college level courses if you're just letting them through with these other multiple measures? The 2 cohorts, we had a traditional remediation group cohort and a multiple measure, and you can see 57% for the traditional remediation, and for students that went through some form of multiple measures, had a 75% success rate in courses like English, college level English, history, sociology, and mathematics.
You mentioned that you tried some things after your juniors took the AccuPlacer. What were some of those things that you tried? What were successful? Because that's something that I'm looking at doing at Atlantic Cape, is providing AccuPlacer for high school juniors.
Sure. It's stick with it, first of all. It's very challenging. We've been at it for years now, and a lot of issues arise at the high school. We tried a computer-based model as far as the A+ Advancer, had them stay, after school. Then you had to pay for the instructors to stay after school. Then you get into issues as far as their contracts go. So there's things that come up. Then we tried remediation plans that allowed the students to take the program home with them, and we found that they really didn't spend the time on task. They're high school students too. So the best success we've had at this point is really committing to it, and as of this coming spring, we're taking, especially in mathematics, we're taking our developmental mathematics course and offering it in the high school during their senior year for those who still need that, who have not passed the AccuPlacer, and what they're doing right now is tying it into their program. That seems to be the best way that it's actually going to happen, because other than that, there are a lot of issues and a lot of problems that arise. I mean, even transportation and busing, and we even thought about having them come to our campus, and we can tell you a lot of what not to do. So, yes, yeah, we can. That's actually a whole session. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
One last follow-up to what you said. You mentioned this year you're going to try, or next year.
Yeah, Spring 15,
Spring 15.
one of our high schools has gone to their board and has received approval to offer our course that is on our campus at the high school. And I'll get there with the developmental mathematics because it's a modularized approach. So no matter what module the students get through, they can start at our institution. If they need all 9 modules, or they need, they are up to 4, and they need module 5 or above, they can start at 5 or above. They don't have to go backwards once they get to us.
Is it taught by the high school teacher or one of your instructors?
It will be taught by the high school teacher, but the high school teacher will be trained by us, and it'll be the exact program.
All right, these traditional remediation is your AccuPlacer testing that puts students into the developmental courses, and then they finish those developmental courses and they went to 100 level courses?
Correct.
Correct.
Yes.
And the multiple measures are made up of what group of people? I really want to know, does the multiple measures include students who were college ready and went into 100 level courses altogether, or is it all of those people also would have or indicated they needed developmental something before they took the gateway course?
Well, usually the multiple measure cohort would be students that didn't pass the AccuPlacer, but using some of these multiple measures. Of course, test preparation would be.
If we go back, this slide, hold on, that slide, using those multiple measures.
So all students have to take the AccuPlacer, but if they don't pass the test, we start looking at other measurements to allow them to be college ready. So we use these multiple measures to do that.
And my last question there is, how do those two groups compare to the students who took the gateway course who did come in college ready? I know it's not on your slide.
It's not on the slide. I think it's closer to 80%.
That group passed the gateway course at an 80% rate?
Yeah.
Slightly, there's not a large.
So the students that come in college level, you're asking? What's
Right.
their score on?
Right.
It's close to 80%.
Close to 80%.
Okay, now the developmental English redesign. Why invent the wheel, as they say? A couple years ago, we had Dr. Peter Adams here explaining his accelerated learning program, and it really fascinated me. So I did some research. I went to the ALP conference, and we decided to base our new model off of the accelerated learning program. And it helped us to better validate reliable placements. The design ensures most students complete remediation in English in 1 year. We've integrated reading and writing, which of course the Common Core does now, so we're preparing for the students that are coming through that. We revamped how textbooks and computer software, they're integrated now for a better curriculum. We've also added a writing center and our tutoring center to aid in student success. And one of the most important things, we increase professional development opportunities for full and part-time instructors. So our old model, we used to have two courses in the lower level and 2 courses in the second level. We've combined those. So now we only have 2 English developmental courses, allowing a student to complete that in 1 year. The higher scoring students of our old model, we now put them into a college level English course with a workshop to support the student in that course. Baseline data from our old model, around 62% success rate from 2009 to 2012. A little more about this model. The lowest level of developmental, the English Introduction to College Reading and English 1, we doubled the credit hours. Students have 5 hours in the classroom and 2 hours in the lab, which consists of a individualized learning plan through Pearson software. The 60 Introduction to College Reading in English 2 is still a 3-credit course with 1 hour in the lab. So once again, it's feasible for a student to get through remediation in 1 year. And that following fall, a student would be enrolled in English 101 college level with a workshop. And the workshop consists of 2 hours, 1 hour working on software, and the other hour in a writing lab where the instructor is walking around helping them with thesis statement, content, organization of their paragraphs and essays. So how did this work out? The first year, from fall of 2012, we basically had a 56% success rate. With our new model, we have a 70% success rate starting this past fall. So we're very pleased with that. And I think it's time on task. Students at that level need a lot of time on task and support. The old model, the second level, 62%, English 63%, but now we must realize we have a lot of students going to college level because of multiple measures. We've taken the students that scored higher and put them in this other level. So the students that are in 60 really belong in 60. We may tweak that a little bit and add more instruction. We'll see after this semester. So the students that now we allow to go into the ALP model with that workshop support, we had a 75% success rate. And once again, it's supporting the students we feel is the most important thing, helping them through that process. Overall, the old model was around 60% success rate. If you combine all the new models, around 69% success rate for the fall 2013. I think another contributing factor is opening up our writing center for English 101 students, and really more than that, but we focus on the 101 students. 51%, or 51 students attended the workshop or the writing center. We had 117 sessions. Many students came for multiple sessions. We had quite a high success rate of 76%. Students that came to the writing center for more than one session, 89% success rate. And guess what happened if students came 4 or more times? – 100%. So we realize students need support, and the more they seek out support, the better success rates we're going to have. Through assessment, evaluating best practices, and this holistic approach, if you need a lab, we need facilities involved, we need IT involved. It's really a collaborative effort in terms of maybe staffing to create student success. And then we're going to review the results and make adjustments as we go along.
Just going over the courses that you have now, you have the EN50, which is reading and writing combined.
Correct.
The EN60, EN060, and the EN070. Prior to the integration of reading and writing and using the the Community College of Baltimore County model, the ALP model, and Peter Adams, I was here probably when you attended the same presentation. Did you end up adding one more developmental course when students, the 070 did not exist in your old design?
No.
Is this new?
That's a new course.
So in effect, you really have introduced another layer of developmental ed when they are taking EN 101.
Correct.
Well, let me share something with you that we have done pretty much something similar to what you folks have done, and that's basically taking level 1 of developmental reading and writing and do the integration. This is the actually trend in the Virginia Community College system is if probably 23 community colleges doing the same thing. In level 2, we gave students the option to take the 7-credit course. In your case, it's 6 credits. Either take the 7-credit course and use the traditional track, or take a support, you call it a workshop course, a 3-credit support course that they can take with EN 101. And this is the model of the acceleration that we have used. And I have to tell you, for the past 3 semesters, the success rate of developmental students who would have taken 15 weeks just to finish level 2 have been actually around 85 to 90%. Wow. We even tracked them one semester after they have completed 101 into 102, and they did just as well as those who placed directly through the traditional route, if not even better. So it's something you might want to consider. And we did not provide any additional criteria. We left it entirely up to the students. And we thought, let's give motivation a chance and see if kids will take advantage of that. And sure enough, they proved themselves, and then we were happy that this experiment really worked for us.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, I noticed, going to the ALP conference, there's so many different versions of this model, and that sounds like an interesting one.
We have one question over here.
I'm Donna Flynn from Brookdale Community College, and we've tried the ALP model as well. So I'm interested, do you do it exactly the way Peter Adams does it, and how many sections did you run?
We do it, actually we have, in the ALP course, we have 12 developmental students that are signed up for 70, and then 12 college level students. So we have half and half, and I think that helps motivate the developmental students being in a class with college level students.
And how many sections of that linked course did you run?
15. Yeah. And believe it or not, the ALP students, the success rate was better. The 12 developmental students in the class had a better success rate than the college level students in that same class.
We're having the same experience.
So we're wondering, should all EN 101 students take this ALP?
First of all, you know those alternate measures that you used to place students at the beginning?
Yes.
Okay. How early on were those alternate measures done, performed, looked at? If the students took Accuplacer, I'm assuming sometimes in March or April or something along those lines, and their scores were back, and then when were the other measures looked at?
We try to start testing high school students in junior year with the
Okay, so
Accuplacer.
those alternate measures were performed or done in their senior year?
Senior year or that summer.
Or that summer after their senior year?
Yes.
Before they start in the fall? Okay.
Yes.
So then, I don't know if maybe you haven't gotten to that, but I want to know, out loud, what do you think is the reason those students who were placed through the alternate means scored or outperformed the ones that went through the traditional means? What do you think is the reason that the students who were placed with the alternate means did better in their gateway course than the students who went through traditional remediation methods?
I think a student would have to be motivated to seek out the multiple measures, to work, do a brush up or something like that. So I would say motivation would be the key in order. The students that are in remediation, they took the Accuplacer and didn't, we tell them that you
Right.
have all these other options,
Right.
but they never really came to the college to
Right.
take the Nelson Denny or.
That was what I was saying. I just didn't want to say it before you said it yourself,
Yeah.
But this alternate placement mechanism, these mechanisms, is a way to tease out the students who are more motivated to do a little bit more for themselves, and then the ones that will go through traditional.
Exactly.
And then if they are less motivated all the way around, they're not there because they're more deficient necessarily, but they're going to do poorer in their class and in their next class and et cetera,
Yeah.
because of a motivation issue.
And the ALP concept is the same. You allow a student that's almost at the cutoff score to take a college level course, and most of the time they do very well, instead of keeping them in that level of developmental for that extra semester. A lot of them are bored. A lot of our students are bored in that level, even the highest level of developmental. So it's a good thing to let them succeed.
I just want to add to the observation you just made. So the last time Peter Adams was here, he made the recommendation that if you're going to do an ALP course, rather than have a higher level, lower scoring Accuplacer student, actually he suggested opening it to any student who needs basic skills. And we actually just ran a pilot of that at Brookdale with 26 sections, and we've just gotten the data back. And in fact, all of the students did better. And so many of those very low scorers actually were successful. We had somebody with a 23 Accuplacer score wind up with a B in our basic composition course, which is a college level course, in one semester. So.
Yeah, I mean, I know Florida no longer has developmental acuplacer testing and so forth. So maybe that's another possibility. We also think even high school GPAs, GPAs, or something to look at. If a student is doing well in high school, maybe we shouldn't require them to take the acuplacer.
You know, our experience, and I'm glad you mentioned multiple measures. 2 weeks ago, there was a webinar by the CCRC and 2 other speakers that about 30% of our students are misplaced up or down using just one instrument, including the acuplacer. Our experience has been as such when we relied, and they suggested, among other things, that look at the GPA in high school and also the number of courses, number of math courses they have taken. And unfortunately, this did not really work out for us because we took a number of kids a couple of years ago who basically finished 3 or 4 levels of math in high school, and they got B and above. When they took the acuplacer, they ended up placing second-level developmental math. And certainly the math department was not in favor of just simply allowing them to skip developmental math. So relying on the high school credentials and the courses is not always a reliable measure.
Another comment?
Yeah, I mean, maybe that could be part of the decision making. I mean, it makes it more difficult for the college now. Before you had an acuplacer score, and now there's a lot more work involved looking at other multiple measures.
There was a student success summit here last week that I was at.
Yeah, we were here as well.
Yeah, and Rob Johnstone, who was the speaker, was saying, and I think the point is well taken, that if you look at the high school transcript as one of your measures, instead of just the acuplacer, you've got 2, 3, 4 years of data, actually, about the students' possibility for college readiness than from the one acuplacer test. But I had a question because I missed it because I was trying to write down everything. Your EN060, is that a 6-credit course also?
3 credit.
That one's 3 credits.
Yeah.
But it is a integrated reading and writing.
Yes. And I think we're having a problem with covering reading and writing in
Yeah,
a
I would
3
think
credit
so.
course.
And in that one, how much was in the class and how much in the lab?
1 hour in the lab a week and 3 hours in the classroom.
And with the English comp workshop, that the 070, how many hours were in the lab?
2 hours. 1 hour working on the software and 1 hour in a writing center, a writing class, writing
Thank
lab session.
My area is the developmental mathematics, and as we all know, and we're all trying, we're all doing our best here to try to figure out what's right. And I'm not sure if one exact way has panned out as far as being, the only way, the right way. And a little bit with coming up with the title of our presentation, it is a holistic approach. You have to not be afraid to try different things, not be afraid to look at yourself. But sometimes when you look at yourself, some of the data that comes out is not what you want. So for my next slide, bear in mind that it's ugly. It's hard to put out there in front of a group of colleagues, but these are the things that are necessary to do to move on, to change. So historically, like probably a lot of you, the developmental mathematics had many different variations of developmental courses, from the basic skills to developmental algebra. We even had a Math 105 that was an intermediate algebra course that was sort of, once they finished developmental algebra, they weren't really ready for college level yet, but we had that course in the middle, and really all we were doing is putting one more semester in their way. So we've changed this drastically, but I just wanted to show that we had 6, 7 layers, 6, 7 courses that we were trying to get these students through. And the discussion was to say, oh, well, okay, well, even Math 85, the basic level, the discussion was, well, maybe that should be split into two. Maybe that should be even broken down further. So we obviously had a problem. This is the ugly one. Back in 2009, 2010, our basic skills, are at the time it was Math 85 students, 394 students came to our institution, started in Math 85. Out of those 394, 161 successfully completed that course. The next semester, only 89 enrolled. So we lost 55% right there. And that's of those who actually, the 41% who actually completed to begin with. So we're looking at a year snapshot from Math 85 to finishing Math, at the time, Math 94, and able to go on. Out of those 89 students who enrolled in that second level developmental mathematics course, only 29 passed. So bottom line was, I know, I shook my head too. Bottom line, what it makes you cry. I mean, it's terrible. Bottom line is that out of 394 students, 29 passed within a year's time. And that is a 7.4, that's around a 7% pass rate for the entire year. So this was the traditional method. This was, and that's hard to put out there. And it's also hard to look at, because once you look at it, you have to do something with it. So, and at this point, we had no mechanism at all of having a student who started in that Math 85, the very basic level. We had no mechanism in place, even if they did everything absolutely correctly, for that student to take a college level math course in their first year. So we had put up those barriers. Good intentions, but those barriers were there. The second step, what we did is look at and this is again, previous data, Math 110 college level algebra course. And this was 3 years worth of data, and out of a total of 857 students, out of that total number of students, 174 received D's or F's. And we looked at those students who received the D's and F's, 68% of the students who were not successfully completing that college level course were the ones who went through our developmentals. So not only were we only passing 7.4%, those who actually managed to struggle and to get out, 68% were the ones who were not passing the next level. So, and that's hard. Even now when I know we've done something about it, it's really hard to admit, So academic urgency was created at this point, and that's a necessity. Once you start looking at it and that's identified, you have to do something with it. That's that academic urgency that was created so that we could start communication across the campus and collaboration across the campus for student success. At the same time, we're looking at achieving the dream, and so this was started to become, that urgency was there. And remember, the developmental mathematics, like most of the places, they were taught the same way for 30 plus years. Lecture style, maybe 1 credit lab. So developmental education success in our experience over the last 4 or 5 years, it takes everybody. It takes, it takes faculty, obviously. It takes staff involvement, admissions and registration to do all the multiple measures and figure out how in the world and where to place the students, how to code them. It's messy. It takes maintenance to redesign the rooms. Okay, we want an emporium style model, and now we need all computer labs. All right, the counseling staff, the advisement of making, not only in Jim's area, my area, all these changes, IT personnel, they actually talk to us still after all this. Presenting all the new changes to upper administration to your boards, to, and I made this mistake, again, a lot of what not to do, I could tell you. I made this mistake with athletics when we changed around a lot of our courses and went to a modularized approach. Initially, we had one course that was 9 modules to take care of all the developmental mathematics. And we thought, great, because they could just register for the course if they didn't pass it and go to the next module and keep on going. Well, that really messed up athletics and eligibility. So, okay, so you go back, you think you talk to everybody, but, and you work out the financial aid issues, but there are pieces on campus that, when I say it's a true college-wide initiative, it has to be. And poor IR. And in the meantime, we have switched from, we've changed our ERP system in the middle of all this as well. So that's been a fun challenge as well. So out of this, once this urgency was created in the developmental mathematics, we did receive the National Center for Academic Transformation, the $40,000 Bill and Melinda Gates project grant, and went to Emporium Model. And I don't know if I'll breeze through Emporium Model. There are no lectures. It's a modularized experience along the way. So it's mastery level learning, meaning at the end of each module, the students have mastered that, that task. In the old system, we had students who, in the old system of mathematics, we had the students who would pass the course, not pass the final exam, or vice versa, or get to the end of the course, know some of the basic material, get really messed up on fractions, not able to come back after that, and then wind up failing the course. In the old system, they would come right back and start where they left off and complete that cycle all over again. So this system with a modularized approach to mastery level learning, the software, we do use Pearson software. There are a lot of different products out there that you can use. You can develop your own. We use Pearson. The videos, the instructional tools, all the self-help that goes along with that software is wonderful, and we've had a very good experience with that. The students progress at their own pace. The training and support for students in learning the new system was in place. The exit level, there's an early exit. Once the students finish, they're allowed to get out of that class. Once they're finished those modules, they're allowed to get out of that class. And we had envisioned saying, okay, well then they can start, if we have a 7-week class, they can start this next 7 weeks, during the last half of the semester. Didn't quite work that way. And I'm not blaming Emporium Model. I'm saying that it was a drastic culture shift to go from 99 sections of developmental mathematics taught via lecture to this way. So the culture shift took time and more efforts after our initial implementation. So, and obviously the willingness of faculty and upper administration to go through this change with us. So, and this is, and I don't want to get into the whole math side. I have my math support people here in case we get into math questions. But this is basically, in a nutshell, this is the modules and how they were broken up. And a lot of work was done with all of this. So, once you thought, okay, and I kept saying, well, we have to do something, 7.4%, we have to do something. We can't go backwards. You can't do worse than 7.4%, right? Like that really, and we envisioned, we're going to have such a problem. We're going to have to offer so many more college-level mathematics courses. Like I was anticipating that. And that didn't happen our first year. And that's okay. And that's what a lot of us have learned through this process is that's okay. It's okay to not be happy with your numbers. It's okay to dip maybe, but you have to do something. You have to work on it. So we actually went down in the first year success rate. Little glimmers of hope. We did go up in a re-enrollment, looking at that, and we also were still, at that point, we're still doing final exams in these courses, and the students were a lot more successful in the final exams. But we were not happy with this. Students were not happy. Nobody was happy. Nobody. So keeping on going with this, keeping that mission and saying, at that point, at first we had 100% mathematics faculty buy-in. They all signed a form for the NCAT grant to say, yes, this is what we want to do. At the end of that year, about half of them didn't want to do it. So what do? We can't go backwards. Are we going to go running back to 7.4%? That's what we've been doing for years. So talked to students, talked to a lot of people, looked at a lot of different research, looked at the whole stat way, quant way, looked at different Emporium models that were successful and working, and we were doing a lot of it. We were just missing pieces and overall culture. So the students' feedback to students is doing the reviews, doing the online testing, there's different things that the students said to other students. So we took all that in consideration. We also at this point found that the students, surprise, but the students that went to the open labs we were offering, they did better than the other students, right? So, and one, that's motivation, but it's also the time on task. And I know you've all heard students learn mathematics by doing mathematics. So we took that in consideration and made this fall, out of all the changes along, made more changes to our initial plan. Kept the modularization, kept the basic components of Emporium model, and little Jenga here, pretty much what we felt like. I mean, we were teeter-tottering on that one little block at the bottom going, all right, we know this can work. We're not going backwards. It's just not wanting the entire thing to crumble. And it's scary. It was a scary process. So looking at everything, talking across campus, the organization of the academic content changed. We took our math, the old Math 85 became Math 91 in this system. We have two levels of developmental mathematics, Math 91 and Math 94. The Math 91, the lowest level, is actually now organized under the Center for Academic and Student Success, because we found that the invasive advisement, the invasive tutoring, setting the benchmarks, putting a lot of that student support side into embedding it into that program and into that course was going to be necessary for success. We did start in the fall of 13, go into multiple exit points, and I know some of you do that, some of you don't. The STEM majors obviously still have to take all the way through the algebra content and into the calculus. The non-STEM majors, the arts and humanities, the whole stat way, quant way, can exit out at Math 91. So they can take Math 91 and then enter into their statistics course, enter into other college level courses that traditionally, all the sciences, all of the science courses, the prerequisite was Math 94. Now it's Math 91, but that took a lot of conversation across campus and explaining to the science faculty, explaining to, our Psych 101 teacher, I mean, it took a lot of effort to get to this point. And then, and multiple layers of training so that everyone understood what we were doing. We understood it. So, as I said, the Math 91, I just said the Math 91, Math 94, we eliminated, as of fall 13, we eliminated that Math 105 class. So the Math 105 content, what we found when we really looked at it is it was either taught in the college level course for those students going on, or a lot of it was already in our developmental course, just not not to the level that Math 105 was. So we took that mathematics people, took the Math 105 content and embedded it in what we were already doing in that Math 94. So we did increase the rigor, one by mastery learning and modularization, but also by content in the developmental mathematics. So we're moving forward, and remember, this is only fall. This is fall. We made these major changes. The biggest change from the administrative standpoint is we moved the class from a 3-hour-a-week class to a 6-hour-a-week class. And I know some administrators will fall off their chairs, but it's still a 3-credit class. It's a 3-credit class that those students pay for. It's lab-based. So the students get 6 hours of content for only a 3-credit class. Or paying for a 3-credit class. So that time on task has been, as Jim said, has been phenomenal. We did lower the pupil to teacher ratio. We have an instructor in the class, as well as a lab assistant that continually monitor the progress. And it's not just wait till a student raises his hand. It is seeing that a student is stuck and actively going and saying, where are you? We've set benchmarks, and I'll get to the coordinators in a second, but we set benchmarks along the way, and if a student is not meeting those benchmarks, interventions are in place. It's a lot of monitoring, and it's a lot of hand-holding, but that's what these students need at this point. The active intervention has been critical. The adding of positions, we have 2 coordinators to monitor all of this and make sure and pull the students and work with the students and set up plans for the students. There are full-time coordinators now, 2 in developmental mathematics, 1 in developmental English. They deserve all the credit for really making this work. Absolutely. I mean, thank you. So, redesign, instead of the traditional lecture room, developmental math, we have 4 separate computer labs that, kind of look similar like this. And then we do have success. So we're finally, and again, it's only 1 semester worth of data. I can't wait to show that pie in the bullet of how many students succeed through, the course of a year. I can guarantee you it's way above 7.4%. It already is, actually, in the students who have passed. The big thing here is that, and this is, overall picture, big picture. We can dissect the numbers forever, but the big picture here is that we have over 130, just over 130 students who started in Math 85 in the fall. And remember, there was no mechanism before for them to get out of developmental before this. Those students, we have about 130, a little bit more. Those students started in Math 85 in the fall, are now in a college level mathematics course this semester. To me, that's 130 lives saved. So, there's always more to come. There's always more to do. Our completion rates, Math 91 is a 57% completion rate just for fall, because that's all we have right now. Math 94 is a 29%. We did a lot more intervention in the Math 91 and are talking about doing the same thing for Math 94. That intrusive benchmark, invasive, it's hands-on. In the fall too, 49 students, just during that first semester, 49 students completed Math 91 and moved into Math 94 during that same semester. And what we've done is, since they're in a modularized system, is, as an incentive, those students who pay for the 3-credit Math 91 course can automatically go into Math 94 and not have to pay for that course during that same semester. It's incentive. 10 students finished, in the fall, 10 students finished the entire sequence all the way through. So, you know, obviously, we're a work in progress, as we all are, and you need to look at we need to look at the year, you know, sequence completion rates. We need to follow and look at the college level success of these students. Going more in depth into the multiple measures and see what else we can add as a multiple measure, adding more interventions, continuing, you know, obviously the work with the high schools, and ultimately it's about the graduation rates of these students. Thank you.
If they're STEM major, they take 91 and 94.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, if they're a STEM major, and then you have to be careful with just cutting it strictly STEM versus non-STEM, because we have a, like the business calc, you know, or a business type major. You have to be, it can't be that cut and dry, but for the most part, I would say 95% of the programs, you can cut it from STEM, you know, to the other majors, so.
The other question is,
Yes.
what's the follow-up course after 91 then? If you're, say you were non-STEM and you will cut the
Yes.
course, like,
We have statistics, and we have a principles of mathematics, and we have structures of mathematics that are, the structures is for the education majors, and the principles is more for the arts and humanities.
I have a question. You mentioned, you know, the Gates grant, and I'm just wondering about, have you thought about the long-term planning when funds run out?
Oh, yes. The Gates grant was only 40,000.
Oh, okay.
We have long since gone through that.
Okay. So then, can you talk a little bit about I guess the funding behind having a faculty member and a lab assistant, about students paying 3 credits but getting 6 hours, and how
Yes.
you're working through those kinds of details?
Yes, and I've never been asked that.
I'm a department chair. I need to know those things.
Yes, we do take a hit. Ultimately, we take a hit in that we are not collecting the same amount of revenue from the students. We are not and we are paying more for the instructors. What it comes down to is that we would probably make about $200,000 a semester, and now we make about $30,000 a semester. Yeah, that's wow. But my argument, and still is my argument, is that those students, the value in retaining those students and keeping it moving forward, will surpass versus doing the disservice, and I know I'm preaching to the choir, but doing the disservice of having students who are first-generation college students, don't have the support at home, pop them into a developmental mathematics course that is not working. They spin their wheels. They have somebody at home saying, well, see, I told you can't do it. And they fail and fail and fail. And, you know, as a community, you know, it's worth the value. You can't put a price tag on that. The value of them succeeding and passing. There's a lot of good that far exceeds the 200,000 versus 30,000.